Well, all automobile and truck manufacturers in the world have the same problem. And the incumbent governments, like in South Korea and Japan, and also in France, are going to subsidize. In Sweden and Germany, they've said no. And that's going to be a big bone of contention at the G20 conference.
When we get back, I want to talk about the red herrings, because you say that these red herrings are the illuminist favorite fish. We'll be right back after this 4-minute break with Bob Chapman. Stay tuned to the Power Hour. Welcome back to the Power Hour. We don't need any music right now. We need to hear from Bob Chapman, ladies and gentlemen. And Bob Chapman is the editor of a newsletter. I don't know how you can live without this. I don't know how you can stand it. He has such good information. In fact, I just mentioned the red herrings that we were talking about, which he says is the illuminist favorite fish. And he talks about Citibank, the Bernie Madoff scandal, and I really, really want to spend some time on the red herring of the Madoff scandal, because the one statement that he makes that just is so good. He's so on target. We wonder if Uncle Bernie will soon join the likes of Saddam Hussein, Timothy McVeigh, and Kenneth Lay as people who are likely to fit into the officially dead but really alive but really dead category. You are so right in saying that, because this Madoff thing is an absolute farce. Anyway, before we get to Madoff, because I do want to focus on that in just a second, but, you were talking about the General Motors issue, and anyway, go ahead from where you were, because I'm really anxious to get to Madoff in a second.
Well, very quickly, we don't know as yet what they're going to do, and we'll know in an hour and 45 minutes. And so we'll put off guessing on it for the moment. But the other part of the two parts of the G20 are, number one, they want to have total world control of all things financial. Banks, stock exchanges, brokerage houses, private equity, insurance companies, anybody that makes a loan, anybody that deals deeply in finance, and companies like General Electric, which do as well. And so they want to have that from one place, like a World Securities Exchange Commission, to use a mundane phrase for it. And that's going to be argued as well. And the most important thing that's going to go on there is, what do we do with the dollar as a reserve currency of the world? China has already moved unilaterally in making the yuan the official currency of Asia. And most people don't know that, not even in the business world. Mm-hmm. That aside, they, Russia, Iran, and a number of other countries have said, look, let's use an SDR, a special drawing right, which comes from the IMF, which is just another phony currency, to make transactions between countries so it will be neutral and away from the dollar. They also say perhaps we should use a basket of currencies, maybe 10 major currencies, just to throw a number out, and have a basket and phase the dollar out as the number one, but the dollar will be part of the 10. I think that is going to probably be their solution over the next 2 to 3 years. It's not going to start right away. The Illuminists in the United States are going to fight hammer and tong, keeping this from happening, because their gravy train will end. And, of course, the Europeans and the Asians now are all upset that they are not part of the gravy train. The U.S. using the dollar as the world reserve currency, essentially like the Federal Reserve has a license to steal, so to speak. And so there's going to be a war going on. It's going to be nasty, and that's why the market was run up, and that's why gold and silver will run down. And Ted and I talked about this on Friday, and I said you want to be in there around 900 with both hands, because this thing's going to turn around and go right back up again in the gold and silver and in commodity venues.
You mean you're talking about the price of gold is going to go back up?
Yes.
Okay.
It's being artificially suppressed again.
Uh-huh. Now, when we were at this meeting on Friday in St. Louis with Ron Paul and Judge Napolitano, they were very clear about the fact, or Judge Napolitano was. He said the more they tell you that we are not going to change the currency, the more you better get ready because it's coming.
Well, I don't think it's going to come on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday.
Oh, no.
But it's on the way. And they're trying to figure out how they can make the world accept it. And this is so important. This program and programs like it are going all over the world. We are receiving hundreds and hundreds of letters from people from Thailand to Chile and so on and so forth. Now we understand what's being done to us, and we're not going to let them shove that currency down our throats because we don't want to lose our sovereignty.
Okay, so now let's say they come out with some announcement of, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are entertaining the idea, like the new Treasury Secretary said. Maybe it's not such a bad idea to start looking at this. What do we do? Call our congressman, hit the streets with pitchforks and torches? What do we do? We're going to be right back after this 3-minute break with Bob Chapman. This newsletter this month, or this week, makes so much sense, as they all do. If you don't have a copy of this one, if you have never gotten a copy, a free copy, complimentary, call 877-479-8178. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Stay tuned to the Power Hour with Bob Chapman. Welcome back to the Power Hour. This is Joyce Riley. Dave Von Kleist is not here today to join us, but we are talking to Bob Chapman, and we're going to get back to that in just a second. Rosie is going to be putting on special those items that we think are for pandemic preparedness. And the reason we're doing that is because we just got word this weekend. We called it Power Hour Chatter, but I think it's more than that now. The signs pointing to a pandemic outbreak in Ohio. Just go to the Power Hour website. Go to today's guest, and in the third hour, we're going to be bringing on Jim Motika. He does a blog called JimmyOnTheSpot.com, in which he obtains some inside information regarding this. It's not alleged pandemic, but this pandemic. And I'm sure sorry to see that we're going to have to be moving into that direction real soon, but I think it kind of fits with everything else. You know, are we going to shoot down Korea's weapon that they're going to fire off? Are we going to have another war going? At the same time, we have financial crisis. At the same time, there's a mess at the G20 right now in the UK. And they've even closed down the banks in that area to protect themselves from the people that don't like what's happening. But our guest today is, we're going to get back to our guest, Bob Chapman, in just a second. Okay, we're going to move back to talking to Bob Chapman right now. And as I said earlier, I wanted him to address the Madoff issue because if you don't have this newsletter, ladies and gentlemen, why not? I mean, do you ever listen to the news on television and think, this doesn't make any sense? He puts it all together in a way that is so much fun to read. It is really a great read, not just information that you need, but it's a great read. And you're talking about Bernie Madoff as a front man, and you say in no uncertain terms here that there's a lot of people behind this, a lot of people know about this, and they're kind of giving him this guilty plea for a reason. Do you want to address that?
Well, I think that is quite evident by the fact that the hearing that he had was just before a judge and attorneys and prosecutors. He had already admitted that he was running a scam, and none of the minutes of this hearing came out.
You would think, and it wasn't even on Court TV. I mean,
know.
Seriously, you would have thought Court TV would have been hungering for this.
Well, they probably were, but they wouldn't let them in.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's a state secret. And so what they've done is they have, through this opaque system that they've set up, they have not allowed anybody to see who else was involved and where did the money go. And there are hundreds of people involved. People had to have known about this for years. The SEC certainly knew about it for about 10 years. I saw the interview by Congress of a gentleman who had been after the FCC for years saying, this is a scam. And as they found out, no trades were ever made. the whole thing was just bring the money in and steal it. And so there were a lot of people involved, and a lot of political types, such as the Bush and Clinton crime families. They were deeply involved in this, and the Central Intelligence Agency. And where did the money go? We do know that a good part of it went through the Israeli Discount Bank and Bank Leumi to Israel. Now, nothing has been said about that.
Whoa.
Everything is undercover. And so in time we will find out. And if we don't find out now, we will find out later, because there's big changes coming in America. Whether they're through the system or outside of the system remains to be seen. But we're going to find out, and all these people who have done these things, all these people who have planned for world government and caused the economic and financial calamity that we are in and continue to face,